Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us for this edition of Channel 1 News Hour. My name is Edward Kabasa. I hope you had yourself a very wonderful day today. You can interact with us throughout this live broadcast on Facebook, KBC Channel 1 TV, on Twitter at KBC Channel 1. My Twitter handle is at @Kabasa. We have a comprehensive coverage of today's news for you. But first, let's have the highlights. The Auditor General says Kenya lost 2.3 billion shillings in overpriced COVID-19 items procured by KEMSA. Achieving social distance in schools is not possible, admits Education CS Professor George Magoha, as he tells Kenyans to be ready for schools reopening. Operations resume at Kenyatta National Hospital as health workers suspend strike to pave way for negotiations. Welcome to this live broadcast. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Lensa Udingo. The Auditor General says Kenya lost 2.3 billion shillings in the procurement of COVID-19 items by the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority. Nancy Gathungu on Wednesday told senators that KEMSA procured the items at exorbitant prices and may realize a loss of 2.3 billion shillings if the products are to be sold at the current market price. Gathungu is calling for a probe into the scandal to establish criminality in the procurement process and possible collusion between the management of KEMSA and the companies that supplied the items.
The Auditor General says Kenya Medical Supplies Authority irregularly utilized the Universal Health Coverage and Capital Budget to procure COVID-19 related items without evidence of approval by relevant authorities. Nancy Gathungu says the procurement process was not initiated based on need assessment and planning, resulting in over-procurement of COVID-19 related stock worth 6.3 billion shillings that is still being held at KEMSA warehouses. In a special audit report to the Senate, the Auditor General says the items were procured at a higher price as compared to the current market pricing, implying that KEMSA may realize a loss of 2.3 billion shillings should the items be sold at the current market price. The Auditor General recommending that further investigations be conducted to establish criminality on the procurement process for COVID-19 related items and possible collusion between the KEMSA management and the companies that supplied the items. Irene Mchuma Odim, Channel 1.
Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha says it will be impossible to attain social distancing in public schools and the country might bite the bullet and reopen schools. Magoha, who appeared before the National Assembly's Education Committee, said the ministry is prioritizing students in Class 8 and Form 4 in the second phase of school reopening to be announced soon. The CS, however, said face masks will be a must for schools and sanitizing stations must be put in place in all schools to help fight the coronavirus pandemic.
Speaking when he appeared before the Education Parliamentary Committee on Tuesday, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha told the MPs that it was time the country opened its schools, citing examples of neighboring countries which have allowed their students back after the pandemic.
What we are doing right now is ensuring that we do the best that we can, because right now in the region we are the only ones who are not open. So as we look at how we can improve the situation, especially masks and what have you, the issue of desks is ongoing. I hope there will be nobody going to court to stop the desk going to the poor children.
Magoha noted that the social distance will be a tall order, but expressed confidence that with employment of some mitigation factors like face masks, students can be kept safe in schools.
The concept is to start with the examination class. I can see Honorable Milemba shaking his head. But if you look at the map, I'm sure you see this. It is not my decision. The teachers, with permission of government, were recalled to schools only a few days ago. And we are going to work with them to ensure that no child is necessarily exposed.
He said the ministry will ensure all learners have successfully been readmitted to their respective institutions of learning, reassuring parents that no academic year will be lost.
All the children will be taken back to school. You are forgetting that when His Excellency pronounced himself on 100% transition, we went round and got girls who gave birth 3 years before and took them back to class.
According to Magoha, all public primary schools will receive at least 7 desks under the 1.9 billion shillings schools infrastructure program, with secondary schools receiving 50 desks each. Education Principal Secretary Belio Kipsang told MPs that the ministry had already disbursed payment of some 27,000 verified Board of Management teachers, and those omitted will get their salaries soon.
It would only have been fair to have a schedule of schools where these petitioners are saying have not paid them.
The push to reopen schools also got backing from the Kenya National Union of Teachers, Secretary General Wilson Sosion, who expressed confidence that everything would fall in place once classes resume.
It is time to open schools, and everything will fall in place when that agreement has been reached. The rest will fall in place. The mask will come, water will come, because this is a country that mobilizing resources and doing things has not been so difficult. Even if we are talking about availability of 1 million masks when we need 30 million, that will be availed.
Purity Museo, Channel 1 News.
The striking workers at the Kenyatta National Hospital have resumed work after temporarily suspending the industrial action. The health workers say they were abiding by an order from the Employment and Labor Relations Court to call off the strike pending negotiations. The workers had down their tools Monday, demanding that the Salaries and Remuneration Commission okays a new pay structure, a move that the SRC says is outside its mandate.
Operations at the Kenyatta National Hospital are back to normal after 2 days of paralysis due to the strike by KNH workers, which began on Monday. In a court order issued by the Employment and Labor Relations Court, Lady Justice Maureen Onyango directed that the strike be suspended until the case filed by the KNH management is determined by the 6th of November this year. The KNH management had sought the order to avert further interruption of services at the facility. Consequently, leaders of the various labor unions, including the Kenya Union of Domestic Hotels, Educational Institutions, Hospitals and Allied Workers, KUDEHA, Kenya National Union of Nurses, KANUN, and the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union, KMPDU, have jointly directed their members working at the facility to resume work as they chart the way forward.
This is a painful message that I have to pass to you that has been decided by the leadership, owing to the fact that we are law-abiding citizens and the courts have stood with us in many occasions, and there is no way we shall disrespect court orders and court directives.
Tumefanya uamuzi kwamba sisi target yetu ni hiyo pesa yenu wenye iko hapa, si ndio? Ya kulipwa salary ya 7. That being our target, please, and I beseech upon you that target, and I put that promise here, that we shall make sure you're paid that money. So,
the leader said they will adhere to the court order and allow more room for negotiation.
By going to court, Kenyatta National Hospital has opened a Pandora box, and we are now demanding our lawyers. We are going to put in our lawyers, and we are going to put in what we call cross petition. We are asking to be paid arrears from 2012. Arrears of 8 years, because Kenyatta's status were upgraded from 3C to 7A in 2012, and therefore those arrears from 2012 up to now must be paid.
Services at the vast facility had stayed grounded for the third day today as workers demanded salary increase following the recategorization of the KNH from the 3C status to 7A 8 years ago. But in a statement, the SRC termed the strike illegal, saying the demand is outside the Commission's advice on pay rise. The Commission states that the health workers at the facility are already enjoying salary increment for the existing remuneration review cycle for 2017-2018 to 2020-2021. SRC says that before approving any pay rise, there is need to ensure the total public compensation bill is fiscally sustainable, ensure public services are able to attract and retain skills required, recognize performance and productivity, ensure transparency and fairness, as well as equal pay for all workers, and therefore cannot approve what is outside its mandate.
Police and the Kisumu County officials have launched investigations to ascertain if the owner of the 4-story building that collapsed on Tuesday night had obtained approvals for construction. At the time of the accident, 6 people are said to have been sleeping in rooms on the first floor of the building, which was still under construction. 5 people escaped with minor injuries, while the remaining one was rescued at midday on Wednesday. Chola Simon with that report.
After 12 hours of extensive search, a combined emergency rescue team of the National Youth Service, the Kenya Red Cross Society, the police and well-wishers managed to rescue the man trapped in the 4-story building that collapsed in Kisumu on Tuesday night.
The one who was trapped has just left. So I want to take this opportunity to thank my response team. They've done a splendid job. It was done with a lot of tact and a lot of skill, and I'm sure you have seen a lot of professionalism that has been exhibited. 3 others had escaped from the rubble shortly after the accident, while 2 others who were thought to have been trapped into the building also managed to get out of the debris. And in earlier reports had indicated that 3 were trapped, but we've already done the tracing. The 2 who were missing have been accounted for. They're here with us. You can see them, they're just besides me here. One of the victims was too shocked to narrate events of the near fatal incident. I think media is still traumatized. We want to take him for social-psycho support at the hospital if you allow us. Thank you very much. Police and the county planning department have launched investigations to ascertain if the owner of the building had the necessary approvals and if the building was being supervised by a qualified engineer. We have brought in the experts to come and do the investigation so that they can report. But as it is, we can see the building has come down, meaning that there was ineptitude, and we are not going to leave this issue like this. We are going to take legal action against anybody who flouted the rules or who did not adhere to the set out guidelines. The owner of the building is in police custody as the investigations continue. Chola Simon reporting for Channel 1 News from Kisumu County.
The Ministry of Health has warned bar owners against defying health guidelines put in place to combat the spread of the coronavirus. This is after 2 people died on Tuesday night following a scuffle at a pub in Nairobi. In the last 24 hours, 151 people tested positive for the deadly COVID-19 disease from 2,927 samples analyzed by the Ministry of Health. In the last 24 hours, the country's caseload now stands at 38,529, with 711 deaths following the demise of 4 more patients.
Just 2 days after President Uhuru Kenyatta sanctioned the reopening of bars, 2 people have died following a bar brawl in Nairobi. The incident has invited the wrath of the Ministry of Health. Speaking while giving the daily COVID-19 update, Chief Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Rashid Oman, cautioned bar owners against defying the laid-down protocols in combating the virus.
It is sad and alarming to note that just a day after His Excellency the President sanctioned the reopening of bars, 2 people died yesterday while fighting in a bar here in Nairobi. These deaths are most unfortunate.
This even as 151 people tested positive for coronavirus from a sample size of 38,529 tested in the last 24 hours. All the new cases except 6 are Kenyans. The youngest patient is 1 year old, while the oldest is 82 years. Nairobi recorded the highest number of daily cases with 32, Nakuru 24, Garissa 14, Mombasa 10, Meru and Kajiado 8, Kisii 6, Bomet and Kiambu 5, Siaya 3, Kilifi, Murang'a, West Pokot, Marsabit and Uasin Gishu counties recording 2 cases each, while Kakamega, Bungoma, Nyamira and Kitui had 1 case each. Between Tuesday and Wednesday, 4 patients succumbed to the disease, bringing the death toll to 711.
We must not lower our guard with respect to the containment measures that we have observed since the pandemic struck. If we still want to have our children resume school, if we want to have our lives back, if we still want to see our businesses flourish as before, if we want to fully resume our normal lives, let us be alert and on the lookout. This is a time for us to religiously adhere to the containment measures to avert a second wave of the pandemic and the more severe disruptive measures that this would most likely evoke.
Meanwhile, 168 people have been given a clean bill of health, with 105 being from home-based care program, while 63 were discharged from various hospitals. A total of 24,908 patients have recovered to date. Timothy Kipnusu for Channel 1 News.
Deputy President William Ruto has rubbished claims by a section of leaders that he has failed to execute his duties as the principal assistant to President Uhuru Kenyatta. Ruto says every work and responsibilities given to him by the president had been discharged with distinction. The Deputy President spoke Wednesday at his current residence, where he held a meeting with a delegation of women in business from Nairobi County.
The absence of Deputy President William Ruto at the COVID-19 conference had provided fodder for a section of the political class. Critics of the DP accusing him of acting in complete disrespect of the head of state. Ruto has, however, answered his political detractors, daring them to point out instances in which he has failed to deliver in his mandate as a deputy president.
Mkubwa yangu hajalalamika kwamba kuna kazi alinipatia sikufanya. Sasa wewe unalalamika kama nani? Na hiyo maneno unasema ya kwamba sijatimiza wajibu wangu, ulisikia wapi?
Ruto dismissing those opposed to his philanthropy as mere busybodies.
So hawa watu wengine wanajifanya manyapara, wanajaribu kusema sijui deputy president hajafanya. Wewe umejiappoint kuwa nyapara ya deputy president, na wewe umechaguliwa kufanya kazi. Wewe ndio ufanye kazi yako ile umechaguliwa kufanya.
The deputy president spoke Wednesday at his current residence, where he had a meeting with a delegation of women in business from Nairobi County
to see how we can support women at the lower level so that they can also manage small enterprises kwa njia ambayo inaweza kufaidi hasa kina mama wale wa chini sana. We need to support those women.
Na Your Excellency, sisi tutasimama naye kama viongozi pia wa Nairobi. Na tumekuwa tukisimama na yeye. Tashikilia wamama, tashikilia vijana. Tuhakikishe kuwa hasla ule mwenye aliuza kuku, mwenye anadharauliwa, tunampitisha akue president, ndio tuheshimiane na watu.
Na hapo ndio tuko, sisi ni mahasura. Na tunataka mtu anajua shida zetu. Si mtu anafikiri zote ati kama ati tunatoshana mwanguo, ati tupo tumetoshana. Hapana. Kuna watu wamelala njaa na watu wengine hawajui.
Sisi kina mama wa Nairobi hatuna kabila. Kabila yetu ni hasoli yetu. Kabila yetu ni ule umaskini yenye tunataka kuangamiza.
Hili wa mama umeikamata ni jambo zuri. This kuwa na maisha mazuri ni wa mama kuwa na maisha mazuri. When women have good life, all of us we have good life.
Critics of the deputy president have accused him of using the current meetings to undermine the head of state.
Amani National Congress Party leader Musalia Mudavadi is cautioning Kenyans against getting into the trap of politics of deceit ahead of the 2022 general elections. Mudavadi urged politicians to sell their policies to Kenyans rather than using the language and tactics of tokenism and handouts.
Amani National Congress Party leader Musalia Mudavadi was speaking at the Friends International Center Quakers Church along Ngong Road, Nairobi, when he met a section of the clergy, reiterated the need for Kenyans to think of a holistic approach towards getting long-lasting solutions, especially for the predominant youth population.
Beyond the wheelbarrow, what next? Beyond the water tank, what next? I'm not saying people should not get tools here and there, but it must be beyond that.
Mudavadi says politics of handouts eventually leads to massive corruption, with citizens bearing the burden of taxation.
There'll be a moment of recovery Hey, mnanichezea. Mimi nilipofanya hivyo, mlikuwa nafikiri nilikuwa natoa wapi? Now, what shape does the compensation or recovery take? It normally takes the shape of increased corruption.
Mudavadi has called on the church to play its role in order to rescue the country from the hands of deceiving politicians who might plunge the country in chaos if left to their own devices. Elsewhere, Westlands Member of Parliament Tim Wanyonyi has cautioned those proposing for dissolution of Parliament, saying it will paralyze other major institutions in the country.
It's not just about Parliament, it's about every institution in this country. And we must always see that sometimes when we let things work out in the natural way, it works out better than when we are trying to force. And let us not even legislate in vain. When we are making legislation, you make law that can be implemented. If you make laws that cannot be implemented, that law is useless and it will not help anybody.
Members of the County Assembly of Migori are split down the middle on impeaching Governor Zachary Okoth Obado. This even as the whereabouts of the Speaker Boaz Okoth remains unknown, leaving the matter hanging in the balance. Kaler Ward MCA Thomas Akungo says they are opposed to the impeachment of the governor because it is an agenda advanced by external forces.
And said categorically that we are not boarding anything, any threats that are coming from outside to the assembly here and to members here. Even if there are so many of us, we will not relent so long as any motion coming to the floor does not originate from the members of Migori County Assembly.
Finally, in Samburu County, the African Peer Review Mechanism Kenya Secretariat has urged the county government to benchmark from other counties, national government and other countries for the benefit of citizens. Suleiman Yeri, Channel 1 News.
You are watching Channel 1 News Hour. We are taking a short break. Don't go anywhere. We still have plenty more lander for you, including news from Mombasa, where a suspect tried to attack a magistrate. Those details will be coming to you shortly.
When the world changed, it made us go back to the simple joys and love the little things even more, like serving up your best, eating together, and sharing more. Now, we'll take nothing for granted and always remember to taste the simple joys. Coca-Cola, taste the simple joys.
On the next episode of Ashoka.
Bindusar's stepmother, your queen mother, Lady Helena.
Acharya! I had a very bad dream. Very bad. It was about Ashok. He was in some trouble.
It was just a bad dream.
No, Queen. Let us go!
This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
Ha! Stupid is an understatement. Talk of crazy. Crazy is outdated, honey. Why do you think I got the ring and not you? That ring should be on my finger, you homebreaker!
Hey, Tisia, my brother. Sikuza Mwizi has caught up with you.
I bet you three feel pretty stupid for fighting over a man who clearly doesn't deserve your attention.
See you! We both know that's not true! We both know that's not true!
Everybody stop! Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
Welcome back to the program. A Mombasa court was thrown into confusion after a man accused of sodomizing a 3-year-old boy turned violent and attempted to attack the magistrate. Ismail Mustafa is said to have charged against Chief Magistrate Edna Nyaloti, prompting her to run out of the court.
There was drama in a Mombasa court after a violent prisoner attempted to attack a magistrate. Ismail Mustafa, who is accused of sodomizing a 3-year-old boy, turned unruly and tried attacking Chief Magistrate Edna Nyaloti, forcing her to flee for her life. It took the intervention of the court officers to contain the accused, and the case was adjourned. According to police records, Mustafa had been previously charged with sodomy but was later acquitted by the High Court upon appeal.
And in other matters, business came to a standstill for hours along the Narok-Mai-Mahiu highway after the road was barricaded by furious residents protesting the death of a 9-year-old girl. Elsewhere, drivers in Mombasa have protested the new National Transport and Safety Authority rules on driving school enrollment. Here are the details of news making headlines around the counties.
Nairobi County has launched a county action plan that will help to prevent and counter terrorism. Ministry of Interior Chief Administrative Secretary Hussein Dado says the government has made great strides in countering the vice. Members of the public have been urged to report crucial information to the police, as security forces will treat the information they receive with confidentiality.
Many milestones in countering violent extremism have been achieved through the counter-terrorism measures. Many more will be achieved if consistent prevention and countering violent extremism efforts are sustained countrywide.
Tana River County Government has commenced the process of developing a special plan for the county to steer development programs and create investments opportunities. The process is being done in collaboration with all county ministries and departments. Jumuiya ya counties appointed donors and NGOs, among them FAO, UN Special Operations, Kenya Space Agency, Nature Kenya and WF.
Kufikia mwaka ujao, hii county special plan iwe imemalizika. Kwa hivyo kwa sasa sisi tunafuraha sana, manake special planning ndio muhimu katika mpangilio wa maisha ya watu na binadamu vile wanaishi. Hii urbanization ambayo wako nayo ya village cluster programs.
Elsewhere, over 1,000 residents living along the Narok-Mai-Mahiu highway held a night-long vigil at the scene of a tragic accident that claimed the life of a 9-year-old girl. They barricaded the road by lighting old tires, accusing the management of Kidong Ranch for digging deep trenches around the 78,000 ranch where the girl met her death on Tuesday evening. The girl was herding sheep when the accident occurred.
Mwanafunzi wa darasa la pili tumepoteza kwa sababu ya wale watu ambaye ninasema wabaya sana. Nashangaa kuona mtaro inachimbwa mbele ya watoto na ng'ombe. Wale watu ambaye hawajui chochote.
Hii yote ni pesa imetumika.
In Mombasa, a section of youth has protested the new National Transport and Safety Authority rules requiring novice drivers to wait for 2 years before enrolling for another driving class. The angry youth demonstrated outside NTSA offices in Mombasa, terming the new rules as draconian, meant to frustrate them from getting employment as drivers.
Mali imefikia, lazima nitafute msaada vile naweza nikasaidika na nikapata license yangu. Hizi zote za NTSA katika nchi ya Kenya tuweze kupata wale matapeli watolewe ofisini.
And about 100 members from Gare Group Ranch in Samburu County have staged demonstrations against what they term as an unfair subdivision of their communal land. The demonstrators have vowed to seek justice in court in order to stop the subdivision process until everyone who is a member of the group ranch is allocated land.
Sasa ile kitu imenishinda, hii maandikishi ya watoto imetoka wapi? Kwa sababu ile kitabu ya kwanza haikuwa na watoto.
Meanwhile, Kenya is facing milk deficit as production drops due to erratic weather patterns, exorbitant feed production costs, and outdated husbandry practices. The decline in milk production has prompted the Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization to embark on capacity building programs on climate-smart perspectives in dairy farming. Currently, livestock extension officers drawn from Kajiado and Taita Taveta counties are participating in a 2-week workshop at the Kitui Agricultural Training Center. Finally, The Maasai community in Sekenani village in Narok County celebrated the presentation of the United Nations Development Program Equator Prize 2020 to their Nashulai Conservancy. The award was presented virtually from United Nations headquarters in New York during the 75th session of the UN General Assembly. Nashulai Maasai Conservancy received the accolade for its outstanding example of a local nature-based solution to climate change and sustainable development.
Tulikuja kuona hii sherehe, ni sherehe mzuri sana na tusaidia kama wakazi wa Sekenani, imetuinua, kuna kuangaliwa wanyama na imetusaidia kama sisi wa Maasai.
Let's now cross our borders. France's top appeals court has agreed to extradite the alleged financier of the Rwandan genocide, Felicien Kabuga, to face trial in Tanzania. Elsewhere, United States President Donald Trump and his Democratic challenger Joe Biden fiercely clashed in one of the most chaotic and nasty White House debates witnessed in years.
France's top appeals court has agreed to extradite the alleged financier of the Rwandan genocide, Felicien Kabuga, to face trial in Tanzania. Kabuga, who is said to be in his 80s, was arrested in May at his home outside Paris after 26 years on the run. Some 800,000 people were killed in the 1994 genocide. Kabuga is alleged to have channeled money to militia groups as chairman of the National Defense Fund. He denies all the charges. Elsewhere, Nigeria has developed a COVID-19 test kit that can give results in less than 40 minutes and does not need extensive training to use. Health Minister Olurunimbe Mamora said it was much faster and 10 times cheaper than the PCR testing method currently being used. The kit is yet to be approved by regulatory bodies, but has raised hopes of boosting the country's low testing rate. Nigeria has been importing key elements needed for coronavirus testing. Meanwhile, Guinea has closed its borders with Senegal and Guinea-Bissau ahead of the general elections for security reasons. Guinea-Bissau's Interior Minister Boche Kande said the border had been closed since Sunday, but his Guinean counterpart did not confirm. Guinea's President Alpha Conde is seeking a controversial third term in the October 18 general elections. The president is taking advantage of new constitution to circumvent a two-term presidential limit. Elsewhere, President Donald Trump and his Democratic challenger Joe Biden engaged in a heated and at times ugly exchange of words in the first presidential debate ahead of the U.S. election. Amid angry shouting and name-calling, the two fought over the COVID-19 pandemic, white supremacy, and the economy during the 90-minute forum in Cleveland, Ohio on Tuesday night. Overall, the debate was light on policy, with little serious discussion or argument over what either candidate will do while in office. Opinion polls suggest Biden has a steady single-digit lead over Trump, but with 35 days until Election Day, surveys from several important states show a closer contest. At the same time, Iraq says it will protect foreign mission buildings and ensure all the state has weapons. Prime Minister Mustafa al-Qathimi gave the assurance to 25 top diplomats on Wednesday after Washington warned it will shut down its Baghdad embassy. The United States has made preparations to withdraw diplomats from Iraq after warning Baghdad it could shut its embassy.
You are watching Shadow One News Hour. We are taking a short break. Business news is coming up after the break.
Next episode of Corner.
Nimekusikia mara ya kwanza. Nini? Unataka kujua kitu niko ndani hiyo safety deposit box ama utaki? Ungekuwa hapa kama strike.
You two really need to talk. You must think I'm like the most evil person in the world. I don't even know how I'm going to look him in the eye again.
How are we going to play this without shocking her again?
Family is involved in everything.
The gym is mine to sell.
Don't you think she should speak to her family?
This sale has to happen and has to happen quick.
Yes.
On the next episode of
Hayuko.
Nani?
Huyo msichana hayuko.
Msalani ndani.
kila mahali mpaka kwa mazulia hayupo.
Wewe wacha mchezo. Wewe ndio mlevu?
Ulianza nini kunifanya mimi mjinga?
Gaenda kwa serikali na ngapewa barua iko hapa kwa mfuko. Lakini hataki kusikia bado mambo ya huyu mtoto.
Kwa mafungo zako kwa.
Ya?
Hatujali kazi zenu
Next on.
By the way, unaona nikapata kijana kama huyo, naweza ingia box, alafu anioe tikitiki.
Ndoto za kutoka ghetto uko nazo.
Mbaya.
Basi mtu akioa huku mazee ameomoka. Toshi mboga huko buda.
Umeoa? Whatever she did, I can do better.
When are we meeting her?
Oh.
You know, the mysterious lady who's cleaning you up and keeping you away from the family.
Mimi siwezi taka kuomoka na jazz, hata kukubali kwa manzi yangu.
Lakini kama umekufia hiyo dem, usilalie masikio.
Siwezi mwagonga juu ya dem mwenye hata zinaangalia mara mbili.
Sometimes I tend to think that this woman is trying to take everything that belongs to dad and will be left in the cold.
Well, I hope you're wrong on that, Glenn.
Welcome back to the program. Trainees under the Ajira Digital Program will secure internship placements in public and private institutions as programmed. ICT Cabinet Secretary Job Musheru says 700 Ajira Digital Program trainees have so far been absorbed by government agencies, even as talks with private institutions to absorb more trainees progresses.
Even with the slow economic activities occasioned by coronavirus, the government is optimistic that the Ajira Digital Program trainees will still secure internship placements. Already 700 Ajira trainees have been hired under the paid internship program by the government to automate court processes.
700 young people being able to transcribe the processes and proceedings that are going on in the courts so that we can make our courts more efficient. This is creating more and more work.
The ICT Ministry is engaging the private sector to absorb more Ajira Digital Program trainees and acquire relevant on-job skills.
We have seen multinational companies coming in and even hiring hotels and putting our youth so that they can continue to work under the conditions of the Ministry of Health, so that we can continue to provide the work and the skills that the rest of the world is asking for.
Musheru challenged local innovators to come up with more social apps, noting that remittance from the foreign taxi apps has increased by 10% in the past 4 months.
Last month we saw even growth in terms of the amount of money being remitted back into the country. We had more, 10% more than the previous year when there was even no COVID.
To this end, the Postal Corporation is seeking to leverage on its vast networks and ICT to forge partnerships that will drive its turnaround.
You need partnerships, you need integrations, you need technology. That's the only way you can change the post office. Partnerships and technology. There's no other two way about it.
The Postal Corporation of Kenya has been grappling with decreased revenue as more customers ditch some of its services for instant alternatives such as emails and social media platforms. Benson Dropa reporting for Channel 1 Business.
The Fresh Produce Consortium of Kenya is calling on the government to tarmac the 27-kilometer Moi South Lake Road in Naivasha. The consortium says upgrading the highway will reduce transport expenses by 36% and help support generation of about 105 billion shillings annually. that story
The horticulture sector
is
contributes
not yet available, but in other matters, at least 14 billion shillings has been earmarked for supporting small-scale fish producers within 15 counties in efforts aimed at boosting economic activities in rural areas. Aquaculture Business Development Program National Coordinator Sami Masharia says there is need for value addition to ensure fish farmers get handsome returns from their investments. Here are the details of this and other stories in our corporate briefs.
Between 2009 and 2013, the Kenya government launched a large-scale aquaculture support program under the Economic Stimulus Program aimed at promoting smallholder aquaculture fish production. This immensely boosted fish production, which again dwindled. Now Kenya has launched the fish farming program through a joint venture between the government and the International Fund for Agricultural Development, which has availed a 6.7 billion shilling loan. The partnership seeks to accelerate the expansion of aquaculture production and trade within the country among the smallholders.
These counties were selected because they have a high potential in one area or the other. Some have a lot of water resources. Some have population that will create market for the farmed fish. And we are supporting also the value chain development of aquaculture.
Meanwhile, Jubilee Holding has signed a strategic partnership with Allianz involving operations in 5 African countries. The 10.8 billion shillings deal involves general insurance business in Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda, as well as the short-term insurance segment in Burundi and Mauritius. The deal is subjected to regulatory approvals as well as restructuring of Jubilee Holding subsidiaries in Uganda and Tanzania into separate general insurance units.
We have therefore entered into a deal with Allianz, where Allianz is going to merge their Allianz Kenya company into our general insurance company, and we will in return give them majority shares in the Jubilee Insurance general insurance company.
Finally, Shelter Afrique has signed a memorandum of understanding with 2 Chinese construction firms in a deal aimed at scaling up the development of large-scale affordable housing projects in Kenya and other Shelter Afrique member states. Shelter Afrique expects to break ground on the housing project this year for the Department of Defense, the Kenya Police and the Civil Service, which will be aligned with the affordable housing plan.
Welcome our strategic partners that will be assisting us with building large-scale, low-cost housing in Africa. We as Shelter Afrique, within our mandate, is clear, which is to provide decent and affordable homes for all in Africa.
Let's revisit our earlier story, where Fresh Produce Consortium of Kenya is calling on the government to tarmac the 27-kilometer Moi South Lake Road in Naivasha. The consortium says upgrading the highway will reduce transport expenses by 36% and help generate about 105 billion shillings annually.
The horticulture sector contributes over 50% to the 45 billion shillings annual income of Naivasha area. However, the bad state of the Moi South Lake Road, where most flower farms are situated, has cost farmers and investors in the area. In a report commissioned by the Fresh Produce Consortium of Kenya, the over 40 flower and other horticulture farms suffered a combined loss of 17 billion shillings annually due to the sorry state of the road.
Exporters or road users will save up to 31%. That means that they are losing, the 31% of the money in terms of the breakdowns of vehicles, the repairs they have to do annually.
They want the government to upgrade the road to Category C to enable the Kenya National Highway Authority take over the management of the 27 kilometers road.
This is a busy road that needs to be fixed quickly. We insist that a fast track of this will be critical because that's the only way we will ensure that this constant supply of our fresh produce industry into the market and serve both the export and the domestic market.
The road also serves tourists and suppliers to over 50 hotels, geothermal energy plants, and 2 national parks. Benson Dioba reporting for Channel 1 Business.
And in other business matters, Royal Dutch Shell says it plans to cut up to 9,000 jobs as it responds to challenges including the slump in oil demand amid the COVID-19 pandemic. The firm says the job cut would be implemented by 2022 and included 1,500 people who are taking voluntary redundancies. Here are the details of this and other stories in our International Business News Roundup.
The job cut announcement by Royal Dutch Shell comes 5 months after it reduced its dividend payout for the first time since World War II. Shell Chief Executive Ben van Boden said the job cuts were the right thing to do for the future of the company as it strives to become a net zero emissions energy business by 2050. Shell employs 83,000 people worldwide, including 6,000 in the United Kingdom. It has been hit by a substantial drop in profits since the pandemic struck. It saw a 46% fall in first quarter net income to $2.9 billion, while the second quarter income fell 82% to $638 million. Meanwhile, the International Air Transport Association has warned that hundreds of thousands of aviation jobs are at risk without more state aid. The global industry body downgraded its 2020 traffic forecasts after a dismal end to the summer travel season. The association, which represents 290 airlines, says it expects traffic to be 66% below the level it was in 2019. It estimates that it will be at least 2024 before air traffic reaches pre-pandemic levels. A second surge in COVID-19 cases and more government restrictions has slowed recovery of the aviation sector. Airlines, airports, and tour firms have been announcing thousands of job cuts. Finally, oil prices have slipped as investors grew concerned about the prospect of crude demand amid the COVID-19 uncertainty. The West Texas Intermediate for November delivery sank $1.31 to $39.29 a barrel, while Brent crude for November delivery decreased from $1.40 to $41.03 a barrel. Experts say crude prices were under pressure as COVID-19 cases continued to increase in some major economies and globally. Rising numbers of new coronavirus cases in the US and Europe are limiting the upside potential. More than 1 million people have died as a result of the pandemic.
We are taking our second break. Sports news is coming up next.
Say all kind of things about you. We them all just shake up. Need to mush you and done to mush you. When your booty got show me now. Baby, one time. Bossy baby, give me 2 times. Full 180. Crazy. la botella. Let's go. Ha. I needed some with some bop in it. Mamacita, where you at? I've been trying to reach you. Choro, 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 choro. Te pago, te pago, mo, te pago. Katoto shepu awe, ayawe, ayawe. Tekenya katoto, kamini tekenya, tekenya katoto.
Gear up and maintain a healthy, fit and active lifestyle right there at home by keeping up with Gear Up on Channel 1, 5:30 to 6 a.m. Monday to Saturday. Gear Up every day for every moment, and remember to stay home and keep safe.
Welcome back. World Marathon record holder Eliud Kipchoge will wear the Nike Alpha Fly shoes for the 2020 Elite-only London Marathon this Sunday. The shoes are the same ones he wore for the Ineos 159 Challenge in Vienna, Austria last October, when he became the first person to run a marathon in under 2 hours.
When Kipchoge wore the shoe for the Ineos 159 Challenge, there were accusations that it had multiple carbon plates and there were calls for it to be banned from competition. In January, World Athletics announced that from 30th April this year, any shoe used in competition must have been available for purchase on retail market for 4 months, in effect banning the use of prototypes in competition. The new regulations also stated a shoe must not have a stack height of more than 40 millimeters, a restriction the Alpha Fly complies with. Kipchoge will be taking on Ethiopian Kenenisa Bekele, who missed out on Kipchoge's marathon world record of 2 hours, 1 minute and 39 seconds by just 2 seconds at the Berlin Marathon last year.
We are all waiting for that. And still on Matters Marathon, but this one is on a sad note. Marathoner Edwin Mukua, who was attacked and injured by hippos at the sprawling Mangu village in Nyahururu, is now demanding compensation from the government. The 28-year-old athlete was attacked while in a training session along the River Wasonyiro in preparation for Izmir Marathon, set to be held in Turkey this Sunday.
The athlete is now nursing injuries at the Nyahururu County and Referral Hospital. Mukua was training together with his fellow athlete David Kipkoskei when the incident occurred on Monday evening.
So mimi ningeiomba ni compensate kwa sababu mimi ni mwanariadha. Mimi nilikuwa na safari nilikuwa naenda. Hii ni matayarisho nilikuwa natayarisha ya mwisho. Hii wiki ningeenda huko Turkey. Mpaka tiketi niko nayo.
So currently the patient is stable, and we are hoping to refer the patient for further management, orthopedic management, because of the fracture.
Nyandara KWS Game Warden Gabriel Kio said cases of human-wildlife attacks, especially hippos, were on the rise, a matter he attributed to over-encroachment of wildlife habitat by residents.
Na shida hizi zote zimeletwa na kwamba makao ya wanyama yamekaribiwa sana na makazi za watu. Hivyo ni kumaanisha kwamba ni wanyama wanakula pamoja na ng'ombe zao na wanaenda tena mbali sana na mto kwenda kutafuta vyakula, na hapo ndio wanapatana na wananchi. Kwa hiyo tunaweza kusema in general kwamba there is a lot of encroachment ya community into wildlife habitats.
Mukua, who holds personal best of 1 hour, 2 minutes and 50 seconds in the half marathon, suffered 4 broken ribs and a double fracture on his left hand during the incident in Nyahururu.
And let's cross our borders now. Manchester United's first formal bid to bring Jadon Sancho back to the English Premier League has been rejected by Borussia Dortmund. Sancho has been a long-term transfer target for United as they seek to build on finishing third in the Premier League last season and reaching the semi-finals of the Europa League, FA Cup and League Cup. The England international joined Tottenham from Manchester City for a reported £10 million 3 years ago. The German giants have insisted that Sancho will remain in the Bundesliga for another season after United failed to agree a deal by Dortmund's deadline of 10th of August. Well, that does it for us for this edition of Channel 1 News Hour. But a quick one, the EFL Cup, or if you like to call it Carabao, round of 16 is currently underway. Manchester City is playing against Burnley. That match is 1-0 in favour of Manchester City, and Brighton is at home against Manchester United. 6 minutes gone, the score is still 0-0, and Everton is also playing at home against West Ham United. 7 minutes gone, that match is still 0-0. Other matches which have been lined up for Carabao include Brentford against Fulham. That will be tomorrow, and Aston Villa will be playing Stoke City as well tomorrow, and Liverpool will be hosting Arsenal tomorrow as well. We do thank you very much for joining us for this edition of Channel 1 News Hour. My name is Edward Kabasa. Our sign language interpreter has been Lensa Odingo. Please do stay up to date with breaking news on our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1 on Twitter and KBC Channel 1 TV on Facebook. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Irene Muchuma Odem is coming up next with the weather forecast.
Good evening. The month of October is here with us. This means starting tomorrow, the short trains will begin across the country. But the weather experts said that we should expect a dry month this October with scattered wet conditions. But there's a time we will experience increased rainfall across the country. Thank you for your time. My name is Irene Mchuma Odem. And tonight, most parts of the country have been covered with partly cloudy conditions, but there are showers accompanied by thunderstorms over a few places in the county of Kisumu. And this is around Lake Victoria, and it is over a few places. And this is how the night will be. But then Thursday, we are looking at sunny conditions over most parts of the country. Scattered conditions will be experienced in Lamu, Mombasa, and Malindi. The northeastern parts of the country will mainly be sunny. There will be showers over a few places in the county of Lodwar and Kisumu. Kakamega, Kitale, Eldoret will experience rains during the morning hours. The capital will be cloudy weather conditions that will also prevail in Nyeri and Meru. It will also be cloudy in Machakos, but counties around Machakos will mainly experience sunny intervals during the morning hours. In the afternoon, there will be showers over a few places in Meru and Nyeri. The northeastern parts of the country will be sunny. The coastal strip will be sunny during the afternoon hours. Weather conditions that will also stretch to Machakos, Makindu, Voi, and areas around the region. There will be showers over a few places in Meru and Nyeri during the afternoon hours. And for you over the western sector, expect an increase of wet conditions, and these will be showers accompanied by thunderstorms will be limited to Eldoret, Kakamega, Kitale, and also a few areas over the northwestern parts of the country. The highest temperatures across the country will be experienced in Mandera at 38 degrees Celsius. The capital will experience highs of 27, weather patterns that will also prevail in the county of Kisumu. And on that note, let's now cross the borders and have a look at the international forecast. Do have a good night and a blessed day ahead.
Vera Beauty College. Vera Beauty and Fashion College, with branches in Nairobi, Eldoret, Thika, and Meru. Did you know that we are a TVET approved institution? We offer courses in fashion design, interior design in soft furnishing, event decoration, flower arrangement, event planning, hairdressing, barbering and dreadlocks, beauty therapy, makeup, nail technology, spa massages, teaching skills, TOT, solo business management, and many more. Register now and visit our website on www.verabeautycollege.com. You can also call on 0725 923 550 Nairobi branch, 0728 087 689 Eldoret branch, 0722 22 7428 Thika branch, 0725 000 706 Meru branch. Vera Beauty and Fashion College, a TVET approved institution.
Excuse me, who is this trying to call me with his gadget? Please, before you call me Professor Ouma, you should have a telecommunicative device. My friend, we professors, we do not walk, we locomote. We do not drive problem boxes, yani probox.
To get Professor, bonyeza star 811 star 759 hash. Dial star 811 star 759 hash.
Next on.
Mtume Muhammad amejaliwa ajira iliyokubwa.
Ujizuie ulimi wako kutosema na kutozungumza yale ambayo yatamkasirisha Mwenyezi Mungu na kuwakasirisha wanadamu.
On the next episode of
Hayuko. Nani? Huyo msichana hayuko.
Msalani ndani?
Nimeangalia kila mahali mpaka kwa mazulia hayuko.
Wewe wacha mchezo. Wewe ni mlevu?
Ulianza nini kunifanya mimi mjinga?
Gaenda kwa serikali na ngapewa barua kwa hapa kwa mpuko. Lakini hataki kusikia mbato mambo ya huyu mtoto.
Kwa mafungo zako tu.
Ya?
Hatujali kazi zenu
Next on.
By the way, unaona nikapata kijana kama huyo, naweza ingia box, alafu anioe tikitiki.
Ndoto za kutoka ghetto uko nazo
Mbaya.
basi mtu akioa huku mazee ameomoka. Toshi mboga huko buda.
Umeoa? Whatever she did, I can do better.
When are we meeting her?
Oh.
You know, the mysterious lady who's cleaned you up and keeping you away from the family.
Mimi siwezi taka kuomoka na jazz, hata kukubali kwa manzi yangu.
Lakini kama umekufia hiyo dem, usilalie masikio.
Siwezi mwagonga juu ya dem mwenye hata zinaangalia mara mbili.
Sometimes I tend to think that this woman is trying to take everything that belongs to dad and will be left in a cold.
Well, I hope you're wrong on that, Glenn.
Bwana Yesu apewe sifa. Majina yangu ni Askofu Francis Maabi. Kanisa ni Evangelical Gospel Church. Niko Nairobi, Kibera. Ninataka kuletea habari kutoka katika Biblia. Na kichwa chake ni imani. Andiko la leo ni kwamba ni Mathayo chapter number 8 verses 10. Ambayo inasema, Yesu aliposikia hayo, alistaajabu, akawaambia wale waliomfuata, amini nawaambieni, sijaona imani kubwa namna hii kwa yeyote katika Israeli. Tazama, katika maisha ya mwanadamu kuna mambo ambayo yanaweza tendeka hadi yule muumbaji wako akashangaa nawe ama akashushwa nawe. Tazama, Biblia inasema ya kwamba wakati mmoja ambaye Yesu alipokuweko, kulikuwa na mgonjwa aliyekavilika sana ndani ya mwili, aliyekuwa katika situation ambayo sio sawa. Na watu wale waliokuwa karibu naye wakampeba mgonjwa hadi kupomoa dari ya nyumba na kumshusha bahali Yesu Kristo alikuwa anahudumia. Na tazama, Yesu alipoweza kutizama hali hii, akaweza kusema ni imani iliyoje kubwa ya namna hiyo. Kuna mambo ambayo yanaweza fanyika kwa imani, na maneno yanayofanyika katika imani, imani inaweza fanya Mungu wako akafurahia ama Mungu wako akakasirika. Kulingana na imani ya wapendwa hawa, Biblia inasema ya kwamba Yesu alifurahia imani yao. Imani ni chanzo cha kuonyesha ushindi. We ambayo umekuwa katika kufadhaika ndani ya moyo, nataka nitume neno hili ndani ya moyo wako na ukalipokee, kwamba kuwa na imani kwa mambo ambayo unayaona na yale ambayo hayaoni. Maana imani ni mambo ambayo itaweza kufanya wewe ufurahishe muumba wako. Ukisoma katika Mathayo chapter number 8 verses 26, utapata ya kwamba Yesu anawashangaa watu wenye imani hapa kwa kutokemea upepo mkali baharini, wakati ambapo mashua ilianza kuyumbayumba juu ya bahari. Unapata ya kwamba wakati ambapo Yesu Kristo aliweza kusimama ndani ya ile mashua waliokuwa ndani, aliongelesha upepo, na upepo all of a sudden ukanyamaza. Kwa hivyo kuna situation ambayo sisi wanadamu tumepewa mamlaka. Wale ambao tumemcha Mungu katika imani, unaweza simamisha anga, unaweza simamisha situation ambayo iko katika mlango wako, unaweza simamisha hali ambayo shetani ameweza kuisukuma katika maisha yako. Nena na hali ulio ndani, nena na ama uongeleshe ile hali ulio ndani. Maana hiyo hali ulio ndani ina masikio. Ilikuja ili kwamba Mungu aweze kuthibitisha imani yako. Nataka niseme nao kwamba wakati dhoruba iliweza kuonekana mbele, wapendwa hao walianza kufadhaika, naye wakafisha moyo wa Yesu Kristo, naye akawaambia